strewn across the dead-end streets. But I won't heed the battle call. It puts my back up against the wall. These are words from the hit song Sunday Bloody Sunday by the Irish rock band U2. Now, what was this Sunday Bloody Sunday? Well, on Sunday, the 30th of January, 1972, members of the 1st Battalion of the Parachute Regiment came face to face with peaceful protesters campaigning against internment in Northern Ireland. Believing them to have weapons, these soldiers fired on these innocent civilians. 13 died on the day, 14 were injured, and one of those injured passed away in hospital a few months later. But, ask a young person, what do you know about Northern Ireland? Chances are, it won't be very much. But this is much more of a problem than it sounds. I mean, a generational long conflict in the streets of the UK, and a conflict that claimed the lives of over 3,500 people. This isn't the way it should be. Instead, it should be a warning about what could happen when ethnic, nationalist, political, or religious disputes turn into full-blown conflicts. This is the United Kingdom as of 2022. Four constituent countries, England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Now, but, as you can see, Ireland is split into two. The Republic of Ireland in the south, and Northern Ireland in the north. Now, it all goes back to 1649. Oliver Cromwell, who just won the English Civil War with his Republicans, and one of his next steps was to invade Ireland for monetary gain, and was committed several horrific atrocities against the Irish people from the period of approximately 1650. The last stronghold of Irish resistance was in 1689 with the Battle of the Boyne, and unfortunately that rebellion was crushed. And in 1801, Ireland, after about 100 years of British unofficial rule, became de jure annexed into the now United Kingdom. 100 years later, in the horrors of the First World War, they found their moment. Violent uprisings appear on the streets of Belfast in April of 1916. The Easter Uprising has begun. But this rebellion was put down with arguably unnecessary force by an already war-stretched British army, and their leaders were executed. But the paramilitary force it spawned, the original Irish Republican Army, or better known as the IRA, continued their fight for independence, and in 1922, Ireland gained independence from the UK. But not everyone was happy with this. 6 counties in the north, part of the historic province of Ulster, had a marginal majority of Protestants, and being Protestant in Ireland means you're much more likely to support being in the British Isles, which is, of course, these 6 counties here that now form Northern Ireland. But, as I said, there's only a marginal majority, and a lot of people weren't happy. Lots of people. Now we get into the actual educational part itself. This is the CCA exam board. It is the only exam board in the UK with Irish history. There's one caveat to it. It's only available in Northern Ireland. Now, it's two subject areas, 1920 to 1949 and 1968 to 1998 should be the gold standard for subjects of this importance. However, it is instead being overshadowed by more well-known about subjects, Nazi Germany, medicine through time, that sort of thing. The reason And so this, as a subject, is so significant because, at its point in history, Northern Ireland faces a turning point. For the first time since records began in 1921, census data for Northern Ireland shows that Catholics are now in the majority. So naturally, this means we should see a rise in the support for Irish reunification and nationalist parties. And that's correct, right? Cool. So, this is the 2021 census data. People who identify as British, 32%. Irish only, 29%. Northern Irish only, 20%, and other 19%. Now, as you see, British makes up, actually, nowadays, a minority compared to Northern Irish and Irish. So, we should see, we should see a support and rise for the Irish, for nationalism, right? Correct. These are the general Northern Ireland Assembly election results from the years 1982 to 2022. Now, 1982, Sinn Féin had 64,000 votes. This is because, at the time, they were regarded as being with the IRA, being, well, terrorists, basically. 2016, between 1982 and 2016, they got all the way up to 172,000. And in 2022, with 250,000 votes, they became the biggest party in Stormont. Now, I have a very handy metaphor. This is pH scale. Now, obviously, you know this from chemistry. Right, left side's acidic, right side's basic. But I've applied it as a sort of metaphor. Right, pretend the basic side is Ireland being fully owned by the United Kingdom, as it was post-1689. And fully acidic is full Irish reunification. Now, from 1689 onwards, as I said, it was incredibly basic, right? Bleach, alkali, that sort of thing. Then from 1922, when the Dominion, when it became a Dominion, it went to about 8 and 9. Then 1949, when the Republic of Ireland was made, it's gone to 7. Now, I believe nowadays we finally made it to this side, and I have several reasons to believe this. Right? As I said, Sinn Féin, the biggest party in Stormont, and UK independence movements are growing. For example, their good friend Scotland. Scotland had the independence referendum in 2014, as we all may remember. Scotland didn't leave, but they only voted to remain by, it was 5% above what they needed for independence. So, and it all goes to a certain thing 2 years later. 2 years later, a party that's in power, Conservative Party, kind of held a certain referendum, let's say. Now, I'm sure you're all smart people. I know what you guess what it is. It's Brexit. So, and from 1973 to 2000, from 1970 to 2016, because of the Schengen area and stuff, it was made more easy to travel between. It was obviously you don't need border checks in Northern Ireland anyways, but it's made even easier by the fact we're both EU countries. Now, in post 2016, Northern Ireland's not in the EU, but the rest is. This creates a problem, as the products that flow through Northern Ireland into the EU have to be specially certified to be sold in the EU. And in 2016, so the two countries, the biggest independence movements, were also the ones that voted the least for Brexit, which was, of course, Scotland, it's not shown there, and Northern Ireland. Now, this obviously tipped favour in balance of wanting to be back with Ireland, so you'd be in the EU again. Obviously, Sinn Féin Now, what the current president of Sinn Féin, Mary Lou McDonald, released a statement to Sky News a couple months ago, declaring that she'd wish to have a reunification referendum within the next 10 years. So, reunification of Ireland is not unlikely as it was 30 years ago. I mean, and I'm saying we're headed for it. Now, that's a pretty bold claim, because this is what paramilitary groups fought for generations back from 1968 to 1998, so that's a fairly bold claim. The problem, how it affects my generation is, I'm not trying to say you're all old, but you're the only one. I'm in the first generation to truly not be involved with the Troubles at all, because 1998 Good Friday Agreement and is approximately when Generation Z is supposed to have started. So my generation is going to have to be the one to deal with all the fallouts without having any first-hand experience of it. We're going to have to be the ones to solve the problem, and if we don't know anything about it, we're not going to solve it. 1979, a Northern Irish band from Belfast, Stiff Little Fingers, released their album Inflammable Material, and on it was their song Alternative Ulster. And I believe the bridge of that song applies today as much as it did in 1979. They say they're a part of you, but that's not true, you know. They say they've got control of you, and that's a lie. Because we are own free people, and if we don't do action to help ourselves, then, as I said, it's a warning about what could happen if we don't learn from history. I'd like to finish this quote from George Santayana. Progress, far from consisting in change, depends on retentiveness. When change is absolute, there remains no being to improve, and no direction is set for possible improvement. And when experience is not retained, as among savages, infancy is perpetual. Those who cannot remember the past are the ones doomed to repeat it.